I'm Matt Byram, and this is the Marketing Strategies Podcast, where I speak with interesting and well-respected marketers from high-growth companies. We'll discuss the strategies they've used to generate traffic, acquire new users, and grow their business.
I know on day 30 if you are going to renew or churn on day 365.
It's a little bit of mind control.
You need to reach the leads in a specific time frame. The faster, the better.
You know, when something works, don't do more like it, do more with it.
If you're selling to a very finite audience, an inbound model is going to be grossly inefficient.
This audience has what top questions, and then make sure that you have an answer to each of their questions.
We don't hire professional writers to write for the blog. We hire sales operations practitioners.
Whoever gets closest to the customer wins.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Marketing Strategies Podcast. Today I'm joined by Saranya Babu, who is Vice President of Marketing at Instapage. I'm sure many of you have heard of Instapage. They have a fantastic landing page software that I myself have been using at my businesses for many years. Saranya started her career as a software engineer before moving into marketing and working for companies such as Dell, BDNA, ChargePoint, and for the last 2 years, Instapage. I'm really fascinated to learn about the marketing strategies Saranya and her team have implemented to grow Instapage. So let's dive right in. How are you doing today, Saranya?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Thanks. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me on this podcast.
It's my pleasure.
So in your own words, I'd love for you to tell us what Instapage is, who you work with, and what you are good at.
All right, awesome. So Instapage is a leader in the post-click optimization space. And now what does post-click optimization mean? That is the brand new category that we're creating. So if you look at the advertising funnel, right? If you look at what advertisers do today, they spend a lot of money to get impressions and clicks to promote their products and to reach audiences. And so if you look at the funnel there is this part of the funnel where you're putting in money to get the clicks. And then comes post-click optimization, where you try to convert that click into a lead, right? You're trying to convert an anonymous visitor to your website or your web property into a lead, right, with a known email address. So that's what we call post-click optimization, that stage in that funnel. And then once you get the lead, then you pass it on to your marketing automation system to qualify that lead, and then it goes into a sales funnel where they get like a high-touch sales experience. So that's what Instapage does. We have a very powerful landing page builder, which is one of the very first products that we built. And marketers can build landing pages very quickly in minutes without a developer. We take a marketing manager and we turn them into a developer and even a designer who can create matching advertising landing pages, keyword matched, personalized landing pages in minutes. With that, and then we have a very powerful conversion platform with features like demand gen system, heat maps, A/B testing, personalization, analytics, and all of that. So it's an end-to-end system to convert your clicks into leads. That's what Instapage does.
And I have to say, for the listeners, I've been using Instapage, like I mentioned, for a number of years, and it is fantastic. We love it in our business. I think we've got over 40 different landing pages, and we have a great conversion rate. It's very easy to create pages, so we really like it. So tell me a little bit more about the post-click optimization category. That's everything from when somebody actually visits the site to when they fill in a form or become a lead effectively, isn't it?
Yep, it's an end-to-end system, and currently in the market, it is actually a disparate set of initiatives that marketers do that they don't see as a single set of initiatives, which is how they should be looking at it, because it's a stage in the funnel. If you look at it that way, then it's all a bunch of different things that work towards the same goal. So there are three main pillars to post-click optimization. The first one is scalable creation. Right? So the biggest bottleneck today that's facing PPC marketers and advertisers is basically the ability to build all these pages, right? They're able to go into their AdWords accounts or Facebook accounts and easily create hundreds of ads that are targeting specific audiences. They can change the copy to cater to that specific micro-targeted audience. They're able to test them and they're able to refresh and tweak it and optimize it very quickly, but they're not able to build. Right, once they get the click, they're not able to continue that journey to provide matching post-click experiences for each of their ads. And that's because today it's really difficult to build landing pages if you use developers or any of the other alternatives that people use today to build landing pages. It takes a lot of time. And so marketers just compromise and use what they have to send their traffic to their website homepages or the product pages, because that's what they have today. But they don't really have to. What post-click optimization does is it helps you very quickly create those matching landing pages, matching post-click experiences for each of your ads, right? And then the second part is really personalization, right? Are you able to offer a unique experience for your audiences, right? Given that you know so much information about them. There is so much data about audiences these days in terms of demographics, technographics, personal data, psychographics, and all of that, firmographics. Are you using all of that data to effectively give them a customized experience that's super relevant for them? So they come in and they immediately want to take action. So that's the personalization piece. And then the third piece is the optimization, right? You create a web page. Is that the best web experience you can give, right? It's often a guess, and people don't venture into validating that guess because it's very time consuming and it takes a lot of resources. And simply advertising cannot simply wait until these experiences are built up. So the optimizations where you create variations, you split test, and then you arrive at the most optimal experience. So those are the three pillars of post-click optimization.
And I guess this helps marketers create their experiences without the need to have development resource or take that development resource time out of the business.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've completely automated that section of the production process, basically the developer, right? So someone can come in and we have a drag and drop builder, we have a WYSIWYG builder, so you can pull things together very quickly and create a professional looking on-brand. And I say on-brand because you can upload your CSS style sheets and all of the customization options are there. So you build the on-brand. It's mobile optimized, right? A lot of people converting your existing web pages into mobile responsive versions itself is a major multi-month project. So these are automatically mobile responsive. So you create that in a few minutes. And then we have what we call Insta blocks, which is automating that even further, right? You don't have to sit and you don't have to actually create a page from scratch anymore. Most of the times you have headers and footers that are templatized, so you can save each of those blocks and you can just reuse those blocks in your page and build landing pages like you build Lego blocks, right? Pull those blocks and build them really quickly.
And you have worked at Instapage for the last 2 years now. What position was Instapage in when you first joined?
So in the last 2 years, it's a little bit less than 2 years, we have actually doubled our revenue and our headcount. So this is a hyper growth phase, very typical for a company in this phase. But it's been super fun doing that. We've doubled our customer base as well. Right now we're at 15,000 customers. We were somewhere half of that.
That's impressive.
And yeah.
And is that small, medium businesses with a small range of large businesses, or would that generally be the makeup of your customer base?
Back when I joined, we had only one type of business, which was the self-service product. We had multiple flavors of that product, but it was a product that people found online and signed up for it online, right? It was low touch, and only if something went wrong, they would, talk to someone from support. So that was the only high touch part. When I was hired here to actually help them create the enterprise side of the business, which would be a product for the upmarket that would be sold through a sales team.
Okay.
Right, so that's the transition that we've achieved in the last 2 years. So I came in and I built that foundation to transition to the enterprise product. So that started from first building that whole foundation to create that market, target that market, create that messaging, all of that, the whole infrastructure to go to market through a sales team. That's the first thing. And then the second phase, that's still ongoing. And the second thing is to then take these two businesses, like the self-service business, the enterprise business, that were kind of acting very independently and putting them together to make a cohesive one business where they both feed off of each other and making sure that they're all part of a single strategy.
Very interesting. So it's really an interesting point in your time at the moment then. So if we were to look at your marketing strategy, tell me a little bit about how that works and then how that then filters back to your sales. I presume your marketing drives the sales team.
Your marketing strategy is largely dictated by the kind of market you're in and the kind of product you're trying to sell. So we are in this market where this is a super competitive market, right? So there's a lot of players in the market, a couple of leaders in the market that have kind of have a huge chunk of the market, a significant market share. And we also have existing alternatives that people have been using for the longest time. And if you look at the total market of anyone who can build landing pages, 95% of that market is still untouched. So this is the kind of market that was the first thing I looked at, and so then built a strategy for that. So the first thing you need to do is to make sure that you differentiate yourself, right? Given that this is super competitive, how do you differentiate yourself? How do you break through the noise? And so one of the major strategies that our founder and CEO, who was managing marketing before I joined and who still is very closely involved in marketing, he is very passionate about the brand. We revamped our branding because people are exposed to like thousands of logos these days and thousands of marketing messages. So how do we differentiate ourselves? So we have the differentiation is one of our key strategies. So creating a brand that is very differentiated, and then the brand consistency, making sure that as a company, all of our touch points are very, very consistent, right? For a visual consistency. Design superiority is something that we really are passionate about. We have a 5% design team. We also have an in-house video team, right? Video team has been our secret sauce to this particular strategy, right? So we're able to churn out a lot of videos very quickly because we have an in-house kick-ass team, some very good talent in that team. But that has helped us differentiate, especially at the top of the funnel where people are saturated with all kinds of messages. You want to put out something that catches people's attention quickly. And so that has definitely helped us.
And I notice you create videos for lots of different features on your platform as well. So it's like, in your FAQs, for example, you've got a video for every single FAQ virtually, all about the different features, how they work, so people can actually see them. I guess that helps not just post-sale, but actually pre-sale as well.
It's actually very interesting. Some type of content work, good at some stages in the funnel and not so good on other stages in the funnel. But our videos work at every single stage in the funnel. They've been very effective. Top of the funnel, of course, is a no-brainer, right? It's to break through the noise. But then the mid-funnel, right, where customers kind of were able to get them to the website, we make sure that we're giving them all the options, right? Some people like to read, some people just hate reading. And that segment of the population that doesn't like reading is kind of increasing because of how social media content has shaped their thinking. And so, we want to show videos. We want to make sure that everything has video. So we have videos from like anywhere from marketing, branding, thought leadership videos, to like feature level videos, to how-to videos, which is like how to use a particular feature. We have sales videos, and we're also looking to how we can leverage, what we call one-on-one videos for high value accounts to then use video in our ABM strategies as well. But that's something that we're still thinking about.
That's fantastic. So how many people are in your video team?
We have 3 people in the video team now.
Fantastic. And what's your video strategy in that case? Do you have a strategy basically just to fill out your funnel or all different types of videos, everything that would be required or needed?
The way we approach our content production is we start with, let's start with one piece, which is a little bit more generic for all audiences. And then what we do is we take that, then we optimize that a little bit, we test it a little bit, and then we segment it out, right? So now we take that thing that worked, and then let's see if we can then have a video for every single feature, right? Maybe every single integration, every single use case, every type of audience, right? So then that segmentation starts. And we kind of go through the priority order that we have. I'm also a big believer in omni-channel strategy. I believe that a company or a marketing team and all of the channels should be marching hand in hand. So when we do those things, we make sure that it's not just video, but there's an infographic, there's a blog, there's an email, there's maybe an ebook, and there's everything across all the channels. There is something that matches for that specific, let's say, feature. And we then launch it all at the same time. It's all about kind of variety, right? Giving people that choice of how they want to consume that information. And we want to catch as many people as possible.
It's very interesting. So, I mean, it sounds like a huge amount of content per feature. How would you actually go about creating that? And then what's your launch strategy?
So the way we create our content, like when we have a very sophisticated campaign process, right? Which starts with our product marketing team. And that's a team I put together in the last 1 year. So I hired someone and then she's now building that team. But product marketing is very important, especially as you go up market. So every launch starts with a messaging document, right? Messaging is something that I truly believe in, which is another big strategy that I follow is, as a company grows, there are so many different channels, so many different touch points, and so many people also creating content. We want to look like one company with one perspective, with one personality, right? The personality of the company is really important. So we don't want to look like a company with multiple personality disorder, right? Acting like different people. So that's where the product marketing comes in. We start with a messaging document. We all agree, we review it, we agree upon it, and then that becomes the gatekeeper of all the messaging. Then from there, we create all of our collateral. The video script is written from that messaging doc with that basis, taking that message and then turning it into a script that's more suitable for a video type of experience. And then taking that messaging, the blog team, they take it and then they create the blog from there. Now they take that message and package it into a way that's consumable for the blog audience, that's appropriate for that audience. And then the email marketing, all of the assets, right? Social media, webinars, everything then draws from that one messaging document, going from the top of the funnel down to our support team. Everybody goes from that messaging. And then we have a campaign process, right? A whole campaign process where we bring everybody's in the room. We are a very collaborative team. I don't have the channels go off on their own and do things. We all sit in a room and we make sure that it's all one cohesive strategy and it's one campaign that gets launched with the different types of voices across the different channels.
Sounds like the ideal scenario, really, to have all this just pulled together so easily. So the messaging document then, who will be part of the creation of that document and how will that actually come together for you guys?
Yeah, so the messaging document is the responsibility of the product marketing team. So we have a head of product marketing. So she comes up with that. She's responsible for that. Someone in her team might also be doing it, depending on the type of launch. I was doing it before I hired her, and I come from a product marketing background. So this is a process we always follow. There's a messaging document that when we create the messaging document, we put some thought in who's the audience, right? What is the top level message for this audience? And sometimes there are multiple audiences. If that's the case, then we come up with what is the benefit or the value, the single thing why this particular audience should care about. So for each audience, we kind of lay that out. Then we look at, that's fine. So now that this is what we are, why are we the best option, right? We are the best or the first or whatever that is. We come up with that differentiating position. And then we come up with what is based on this. It could be a feature launch. It could be a point of view launch. It could be a category launch. Whatever that launch is, then we come up with what is a messaging for the whole world, right? If I have to go to through PR to the industry, what would that message be? What would the message be to our customer? What would the message be to our prospects? What would the message be for the different audiences? And we come up with all those messages. And then we talk about pain points. So it's a whole comprehensive document that we create. And then it goes through review. The whole team reviews it, the executives review it, and then we make sure that we're all aligned and there's buy-in from every team before that messaging document is finalized.
And how long might you spend on one feature or one messaging document?
It depends. So we have different tiers of launches. We have tier 1 launch and we have up to tier 4 launches. So it really depends on that. Tier 1 is where we do press releases. We do the whole everything. All channels are involved. Sometimes we may do an event, a launch event. So it's a major investment. And usually we do some research as well, right? Leading up to the messaging doc, because we have to look at Let's say we are going into a new market. Then we look at that market, we research that market. How does that market landscape look right now? What are the alternatives? Who are the competitors? Because we also do competitive messaging within our messaging doc. For example, what is our position against, right, with respect to this alternative, all of the alternatives? So we study that market, and that becomes part of the messaging document as well. And then there's some groundwork. Sometimes for tier 1 launches, we may also do some message testing with live people or through online means. We do that to validate some of our assumptions going in. So we want to be as data-driven as possible.
Like with some focus groups, for example?
Yeah, so we do that as well. But so far we've done individual interviews. Interview someone from, let's say it's a PPC manager, then we interview them, we ask them some questions, but we also run them different options of the messaging and see how they're receiving that messaging and how are they understanding it. Is it getting communicated the right way?
Fantastic. I really like the structured approach to it. And then how many campaigns, messaging documents, how many would you work on, say, in a quarter?
3 would be the highest. I try not to do more than 1 tier 1 campaign per quarter, but sometimes, depending on the product schedule, it's important things happen. But let's say 2 tier 1 and maybe 3 or 4 tier 2, and then there's tier 3 and tier 4, close to anywhere from 6 to 10 messaging documents.
Very interesting. And then, okay, if we were to bring this back a little bit further and talk about your acquisition, what's filling the funnel for Instapage at the moment? What are your effective marketing strategies and channels?
We have 2 endpoints, right, to this funnel. One is a self-service, right? Customer signs up for a self-service product. The other one is they go into the sales funnel. Now, at the top of the funnel, very top, not even looking at acquisition, but very long-term branding is our PR, social, and paid branding campaigns that we do through paid media. Right? So that's always going to be there. But in terms of acquisition itself, for the top funnel, we see organic as one of our biggest channels. Now, the way I see it is, depending on the stage in the funnel, different channels work better at different stages in the funnel. So for the top of the funnel, to get people onto our website, right, that's usually the first stage in the funnel for most of our campaigns. And then we also have other type of campaigns. But to get people onto the website, organic is our biggest source right now.
Organic search, is that?
Yeah, organic search. And so we have invested a lot in that. We have a 5% content team. We have an in-house SEO manager who's a rock star. So that team has just pumps content like we do, I think 3 blogs to 4 blogs a week. And so we create that pathway for anyone with any kind of remote intention of updating software that would lead to a product. We want to create those pathways so they can zip straight through to upgrade. So organic is definitely our biggest channel. And then the second channel for at the top of the funnel is paid. So we do both prospecting as well as retargeting, but we do AdWords, Facebook. We try a bunch of different channels. So getting paid traffic to our website and landing pages. So that's the second biggest channel. So that's at the top of the funnel. For the high value type of market, we also do some we're creating some ABM, like account-based marketing strategies, but those are low volume, high value, experimental at this point type of things, where cold email for ABM is also something that's been super effective at that volume, but it's always going to be a low volume game. So the top of the funnel is that, and then mid funnel, what I'm seeing is email, super effective emails, webinars, right? So we kind of take them through that, and then some retargeting, right? So we do, anyone who comes to the website, we retarget them with more of something that would urge them to give out the email address, right? The first type of ads we usually show are to get some impressions so we can retarget. So that's that. And at the bottom of the funnel, for the self-service, right, we want them to get into our free trial, which is our product. So it's all in-app, plus the email and retargeting. And then for the sales, bottom is basically goes to the sales team. And then we just continue to retarget them and email them.
That's really interesting. You've gone through an awful lot there. I've made a few notes. So I want to just jump back to the start of the top of the funnel there. So you say paid and organic search, really. So a big reliance on search. I guess, you mentioned it's very competitive, and I can see, this part of the market is getting highly competitive. Is paid search still viable? Is it still working for you guys? Is it becoming more difficult? How are you finding that these days?
So paid search is working really well for us. Paid is only a channel. It really depends on how you use it, right? It's a tool. You can use it really well or not. So one thing that also aligns really well with the purpose of why we have our company is that we use our own product to improve the ROI of a paid search. We spend a lot in paid, but we make sure that We hyper segment those audiences. We don't just go with one single ad to everyone. We realize that at the top of the funnel, people who are not thinking about your product are thinking of it in terms of some pain point that they're going through. And so we have to talk to them to connect with them. And so for that message at the top has to be different for the different audiences. So we have a hyper-segmented, very organized paid program by audience, by persona, by interest. So it's all hyper-segmented. And then we constantly test those segments and we keep optimizing them. We watch them every week. We have an agency that helps us with that. So we watch it every week. We tweak the copy, we tweak all of that on an ongoing basis constantly. But we also have matching landing pages built on a platform that connect that ad to that post-click experience. So our landing pages are basically an extension of the ad. Let me give you an example. If someone's searching for, like, let's say black shoes, right? We know that they definitely want black shoes. At that point, you are able to create an ad for that keyword, right? So in AdWords, you can do that. You can actually say black shoes and make 40% off of black shoes or something and target these people. And once they click that, you want to take them to a page with black shoes, right? You don't want to take them to a page with all kinds of shoes or even worse, like just here's a shop, go buy whatever you want, right? You don't want to throw them into a shop. You want to continue that journey, and that's how you close a customer. What most people do is they segment at the ad level, but then once they click the ad, they go to a very generic page, they're lost, and they bounce. So we don't do that. We bring our audience, we continue that experience. We create our landing pages as extensions of the ads themselves. And then, so we see very high conversion rates. The industry average is, I think, 3.75. It was 2.65 last year. And our conversions are way north of 20%. We get anywhere from 20% to actually 70% conversion rate, depending on the specific campaigns.
Wow, that's incredible. And it makes total sense, doesn't it? And it's something that everybody really knows is, make sure that the ad is totally relevant to the person who's searching. So the ad text is correct. And then the landing page or the place that they go to needs to totally follow on from the ad. But I know I know so often it's not the case. So often it's just fairly generic. And I guess that's what you guys are looking to really fix with your post-click optimization category that you're creating at the moment.
Right.
So if we then say another strategy is the organic search, and we have already said, you're creating 3-4 blog posts a week. You're also creating videos and emails and all sorts of other things. You're clearly creating an awful lot of content. How important is, say, like SEO for you when you're creating all that content? How do you actually focus on search while creating that content?
So our content team was built with the purpose of SEO, right? So our content for the longest time was purely SEO focused, and now we're kind of beginning to add like product updates and other type of things, point of view and everything. But SEO is the organic search and the journey of the customer, who is most journeys today start with a Google search, right? It's the reality of today. So we keep that in mind. Our goal is to give useful information to anyone who is showing some kind of intent. So we create all kinds of content, but they are super optimized for organic. We have an in-house SEO manager who is super passionate. He's a rock star. He makes sure every piece of content is run through him, and he kind of vets it for, is it something that can be easily found? Is it something that can be ranked? And we're looking at the latest type of stuff too, right? How do we get the zero position, right? So now Google's focusing a lot on the zero position where the answer is right there, where you don't even have to click, right? No click type of, So the snippet, we do the same thing with our videos. Like when we post on YouTube, there is an SEO component to it. So because when people come on YouTube, right, and based on their intention and their search, they can actually find our videos as well. So we optimize everything for organic search.
How is GDPR going to affect you moving forward where you're collecting data? Is that a big concern for you guys?
No, so GDPR is all about the data privacy, right? It's to make sure that people's data is protected and it's not used for the wrong purposes. A couple of basic requirements of GDPR is to get consent for any personal data. And really the only thing that is major in that is the cookies, right? Most websites use cookies to store some information so they can provide you a more relevant experience, right? Based on who you are and your past browsing behavior and stuff like that. We use cookies for the same purpose. And so GDPR requires that you explicitly state that you will be using cookies for what purpose and get a consent, right?
Yeah.
So we will be doing the same thing. I don't see that as a big concern.
No, but obviously there's the collecting of data so that people actually, have to opt in to receive, say, nurture emails and things like this as well.
Yeah, so our nurture emails are already opt-in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's just a policy of Instapage, I guess, to do it in that way.
Yeah, so when they sign up for a free trial or they download an ebook, right, so email address is given, right? So they give the email address and that's how they get those emails from us. And they can unsubscribe at any time. So it's perfectly compliant already.
Fantastic. Following on from that as well, you mentioned, previously retargeting is big for you guys as well. Tell me a little bit more about how your retargeting strategy works.
Right. So retargeting is a very powerful tool, right? So if you look at our website, we get close to more than 1 million visitors on the website per quarter. That's a lot of people. Now, not everybody there is ready to buy. They're in different stages. But we managed to make a connection with them at a certain point in time. So that's why they came to our website. Now, how do we stay top of mind and continue this journey, right? So after the first encounter, you want to make sure that you have a second encounter and a third encounter and so on. And with each of these connections, you want to make sure that you're educating them a little bit more, right? To a point where you're not overwhelming them. But you want to keep doing that slowly so that they move along this awareness journey. And at some point, they understand who you are, what value you bring to them, and why you should purchase, right? So retargeting is really, really useful there. Retargeting and email is what we use for that particular purpose. Once we get that first anonymous visitor, what we do is we retarget them based on the type of content they consumed. For example, if someone came and consumed a blog that has very thought leadership, high-level type of stuff, right? We then see that based on that particular theme. Let's say they came to a PPC page, then we show them a PPC-related let's say downloadable asset, right? So that's also mostly thought leadership with a little pitch at the end of that ebook, but really stuff that educates them on some best practices that would then bring them to our product. So we retarget them with that. We continue that theme throughout. And then if they sign up, then we have their email, then we send them an email and we retarget them with an asset that is further down the funnel, a little bit down. And then let's say they respond and they come to a feature page or a pricing page. At that point, now they're more advanced. So then we retarget them with more of a direct call to action to sign up for a free trial or request a demo, right? So we use retargeting as a way to reach out to people, to give them some actions and ways to go further in the funnel.
So you're using almost exclusively more content along the same line that they've already shown an interest in to actually nurture and help them further, rather than going straight in for the kill with the retargeting and saying, just advertising with Instapage product directly.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And what software are you using to actually do that? Are you using Google AdWords or AdRoll or something totally different? What's your retargeting tool of choice?
We use AdWords. We're a big user of AdWords. So there's GDN, right, the Google Display Network. We also use Facebook, and then LinkedIn, and Twitter, Quora, Bing ads as well.
So you use like Facebook native for retargeting rather than using, say, a third-party software to actually pull it together?
Yeah, right now we are using the native platform. So we feed those retargeting lists, audiences into Facebook as well. But yeah, we are looking into a few other tools, so we're still in the evaluation phase.
So I'd love to bring this back down to say where we started this conversation and also the bottom of the funnel, which is your sales team. So you say you were brought into Instapage to expand out the enterprise section, and that revolves around, having a sales team to actually sell into these enterprise. Tell me then how all the marketing strategies and plans that you've just explained, how does that then filter through to your sales team? When do your sales team get involved in that process?
The sales and marketing teams basically work on the same funnel, except at different stages, right? So they own the bottom part of the funnel and we own the top part of the funnel. So there's a few ways in which our marketing and sales teams work together. The first thing is to make sure that we equip the salespeople. So that sales enablement, right? That function sits within the product marketing team. So we have someone dedicated for that. We make sure that we train our sales teams and the customer success managers on an ongoing basis, make sure that they are up to date on what's happening what our point of view is, what messaging, what are the objections, how to respond to objections, what does a competitive landscape look like, and how to respond to that. So everything. It's a very comprehensive program that we have to enable sales, and those teams work really closely with each other.
And then how would a lead get flagged up to your sales team to say that they're sales ready, they're ready for a conversation, for example?
Right, so that function sits in the demand gen team. So the demand gen team is, again, a new team. We brought in a director of demand gen in January. So the way that works is, the first thing is alignment, right? I want to make sure that these teams are aligned. So the variable compensation is, so they both work on the same goals. If there's a quarterly revenue goal, they both count on the same goals, both sales and the demand gen team. So that's the first place to start, which means I don't care if you bring in 500 leads or 5,000 leads, as long as that revenue is there, the goal is satisfied, right? So I don't want to make it a lead goal, because then what happens is people get in leads and then it's all about the lead with no consideration for whether they would close or not. So the process the process we have is very simple. We collaborate very closely with the sales team, take the leads that come from the different sources and score them. We have a bunch of different scoring methodologies. We use a product and we use our own scoring as well. So a bunch of different methods, and once they score, the scoring methodology is already, so we sat with the sales team and we agreed upon a scoring methodology, because they're the ones that have to follow up, right?
And what will the score be based on? Will activity on people take with other pieces of your content?
So the score is based on a bunch of things. It's based on firmographics, right? So the company profile, title, so demographics, title, and that firmographics, which is company, industry, company size, their ad spend, and a few other things. And then technographics, so depending on some of the technologies they may be using, and also their in-app behavior. So if they were in a free trial and they're really active there. So there's a bunch of different things. We feed a bunch of different factors into that.
Okay.
So then the leads are scored, and then we have a protocol for handing them over. So all of that is agreed upon with the sales team. Once we hand it over, they have a follow-up process that's also agreed upon. And then once they follow up, there are leads that don't proceed. We have also an agreed upon protocol to take them back into marketing to further nurture them. And we have that same thing for leads that get stuck at the different phases in the sales funnel as well. So let's say stalled MQLs, stalled SQLs, and stuff like that. So we then take them back. But we work really hand in hand, almost like one team, so that we're handing off and then handing them back and nurturing, and all of the programs are all agreed upon. Before we do a demand gen program, we sit with them and then we send them a brief in terms of, this is the campaign that's happening, this is how you'll get the leads, this is what will get assigned, this is how you should code them in so that we can track them properly. And this is a content they got, so this is the call script so that you can respond appropriately to that particular campaign. So we do a lot there.
And what percentage of new business wins at the moment might be closed by the sales team rather than still self-serve?
We just started last year, so we're getting close to a 10% on the enterprise side, but that's growing really fast.
And then do they tend to be bigger customers as well? I know it's called enterprise, but are always bigger customers that sell through the sales team, or is it just people that need some support sometimes as well?
It's kind of a mix. On an average, they are larger companies and people that need sometimes smaller companies, but it's really people that are more strategic, that need more of the hand-holding for the tactical, and they just want to get things done. They want faster time to value. So that's type of people. So in general, these are larger companies. But also what I'm seeing is these are people that are more mature, right? More sophisticated in that particular, if you look at the curve of advertising maturity, the people that come to the self-service are often people that are just getting started or trying to get something up. Yeah. On the enterprise side, these are more mature people looking for more, right? So they're not just looking to create a foundation. They're looking to take it to the next level.
Yeah, put something in place for the future rather than just I need a landing page now.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I bet there's quite a few of those. I was probably one of them at one point. And so if we bring this back to the marketing strategies, looking forward now for Instapage, what are the marketing strategies that you're going to be focusing on in 2018? Is there anything particularly important stand out for you? Is there anything that you're going to be testing, excited to be testing in the next few weeks or months? What does the future hold in terms of marketing strategies for Instapage?
Well, a lot of interesting things. So we have a bunch of initiatives happening at the same time. The first thing, of course, is making sure that we hit our revenue targets, right? We just closed Series A. We have revenue targets, so hitting them and maybe even exceeding them, and building that infrastructure. Because when you have an increasing revenue target, you have to constantly keep building that infrastructure, like at least 6 months to 1 year in advance, because it takes some time for what you build to actually start showing results. So we're constantly building out that infrastructure. So if we are looking at, let's say, 2xing our revenue, what does that marketing stack look like, right, for that particular revenue at that scale? What does the lead flow look like? What do we need? And then let's build that out now. So we are doing a lot of the refactoring, if you will, in terms of our infrastructure, in terms of the tools we use, in terms of everything to build for the future. So that's our marketing stack. We're also looking at creating this category called post-click optimization. The reason why we are really focused on this is it simplifies that conversation around why you need to do this, right? It's not about, I want to quickly create a landing page right now because I don't have money, right? That's not, we want to kind of move away from that into a conversation where it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? The digital advertising industry. The conversion rates are like at 3.75%. So that's huge. If you could double your conversion rates, and as we have seen, we're seeing like 6x of that. So it's easily doable. Just imagine what kind of ROI people can get who are spending thousands of dollars in advertising per month. So that's another thing, kind of educating the people on how to work smarter and not harder with respect to their advertising funnels by creating this category. And then the third thing is really to continue to go up market and get the right customers and educate them so that we can create like champions within the market that do advertising really well and the way it should be done.
Absolutely. And in terms of the conversion rates as well, I've got a video I'm personally releasing on my YouTube channel this week. And actually one of the products that we're featuring is Instapage, because it's one of the 5 marketing tools that we love. You know, we get a 32% average conversion, I think. And then we've got a page, our top page is converting at over 50%. So it's fantastic to be able to, like you say, hyper target the messaging and actually convert at a high rate, like you say you're doing there as well.
Oh, that's awesome to hear.
Yeah. So it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. I'm going to bring this round to our last 5 questions, which is 5 quick fire questions that I ask every guest that's part of this podcast as well. So number 1 is, what's your best piece of marketing advice?
So my best piece of advice would be to not play your competitor's game, right? Especially in a competitive market. It's very easy to look at what your competitors are doing and to get carried away and to kind of feel the urge to, do what they're doing, to like do it better. So the thing is, everybody builds their game to suit themselves. So the best strategy would be to resist the temptation to play your competitor's game. Don't define yourself within the framework of your competitors' messaging or tactics. Create your own game and then be the best at it. Execute really well. Keep playing your game and win at your game, because you can only win at your game. You can't win at your competitor's game.
It's very wise words. Do you know what? It's actually very interesting because I've done 15 or so of these podcasts now. And then that is a very, very common thread, is to do your own thing, focus on you, and don't worry about anybody else. If you do the very best that you can possibly do, you're going to win down the line, really. But if you're focused on other people, then you're always going to be doing the ifs, the whats, the whys, and you're not going to be focused enough on your end goals.
Very true.
So number 2 is, can you recommend a book to our listeners?
So I like this book called Start with the Why by Simon Sinek. So that's something that I follow in everything I do. For me, when there's something that comes, I always start with why. Like, why do I need to do this? What happens if I don't do it? What is the cost? And that helps me make decisions and helps me really prioritize.
Fantastic. Well, I'll put a link to that on our show notes page at mattbyram.com. So if anybody wants to check that out, please go there and there'll be a link straight to the book. And what software tool could you not live without?
So I don't have a very glamorous answer here, but it's really PowerPoint. PowerPoint helps bring to life my ideas. And so I'm on it a lot. And I try to visualize my concepts, and helps me make the business case for my ideas.
Fantastic. Keep it simple. I love it. And what's your favorite example of a marketing campaign?
My all-time favorite is the Got Milk campaign. It's a very famous campaign. I like it because it's super simple. It evokes the emotion by just asking a very simple question. It's super powerful, super simple, very effective.
Love it. And my last question is, which other podcasts do you listen to?
So I listen to a few, that as I see, based on the topic. I listen to a lot of TED Talks when I'm on my commute. So those are my favorite.
Yeah, I've never met anybody who doesn't love a good TED Talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And it's been really interesting learning about Instapage. It's a product that we've used for a long time, and really interesting to hear about the strategies that you've used and your team have used to grow the business. It sounds like you've got a fantastic plan for the future. Growing the category, a new category, post-click optimization. I'm really excited to see how that develops, and I wish you all the best for the future. Thank you very much for being on today, and appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, Matt, for having me. It was my pleasure.
Thank you all for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share with your friends. I'd also be extremely grateful if you could rate and review us on iTunes or the channel you get this podcast through. Until next time, I've been your host, Matt Byram.